hello and welcome to another edition of RSF Radio. I'm your host, Joe Monday, and this is the show where we talk about what's been going on the front page of our Street Fighter. First and foremost, before we get started, I do want to thank all of the women who wrote in for or submitted audio files to that last episode, the Women of the FGC special that was run in the previous episode. Just kind of the courage that it takes to even share a story like that, and thank you for trusting me with your testimonies. I think that the episode speaks for itself, and that was that one sat with me. It was in my gut for a while. Like, there was a lot to think about, and I want to thank you all for sharing. Another thing I want to bring up before we get started is that the Amazon is on fire, and Sierra started, who is a member of the FGC out in California, started a donation drive for a fundraiser to send money to like a charity that helps out with things like watching the Amazon and making sure that it's not on fire, I suppose. You can read into it. I'll share the links down below, but I just want to get that out front before we start the show, and I introduce my guest. So sorry about the double bummer, but I've got someone on the show today.
Tough act to follow, friend.
I know. I do apologize for that, but
the world is on fire. There's a lot of crazy things happening in the FGC. Oh, by the way, here's our good friend AutoMattock. I appreciate you, Joe. Thank you.
Because here's the thing. I thought to myself, who's a beaming light of positivity? Who just loves fighting games? Who could really turn things around from...
Appreciate you. Thank you.
From where we're at right now, from the dark world that we live in. Who's the... Who has
scratching
that power?
The bald spot on my head, one of many.
Oh, it's a bright, shining light. Trust me. I've seen it.
Nice. Okay. Just call me Krillin.
But no, AutoMattock. Thank you for joining today's show to talk about what's been going on with fighting games, specifically Street Fighter and that shit. But before we get into the news of today, what's been going on, I like to start the show when I have a guest on the show. What's like your personal business? What do you want to pitch right now?
Just Twitch. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, man. It's been a long couple weeks. Just twitch.tv/AutoMattock. YouTube.com/Jibbo. I write guides for the characters. I'm back from Street Fighter League. I'm working up to working on the Honda guide again, which is the link is located in the Discord, which is free for subscribers, which really means it's not free because you got to subscribe, which is $5 to the Twitch channel. Money's going to a good place. Me. So yeah, I'm starting to get my, I'm starting to fire off on all steering wheels or something. I'm trying to get back into this thing. Like after this week of playing Street Fighter 5, as a job, like for 12 hours a day, I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this I need a break is what I'm trying to say. Just give me a second.
Yeah, no, it's specifically Street Fighter 5 too, day in and day out. It is a hair-raising experience where it can be pretty white knuckle, let's say, and doing that day in and day out could be not good for your health, I imagine. Actually,
it takes quite a bit of resiliency and just not. And doing your best to take yourself out of the equation. You know how many times I've been watching other people stream Street Fighter 5, and I'm like, look at him. He's trying not to show that he's pissed. He's trying to poker face. I know it. I know that upset him. And then I'll bring it up in the chat. They're like, no, man, no, everything's cool. Everything's fine. I've learned to accept it. I'm like, you know that one got under your skin because the same thing happens to me. But I just, the more you deal with it, the better you do get at not caring. Yeah. But at the same time, you want to care. And then, this leads into more conversations like netcode, rollback. The game's getting harder and harder online. It seems like it's getting worse. I don't know. I'm gonna rant and go in all different directions. So.
No. That's fine. I mean, that is one of the anytime the game is updated, there seems to be a spike in people reporting, is the game broken? Netcode? I don't know why. It just seems to, like, every time that there's a big update, it's like online's broken again for like a week or so, and then it kind of gets back to normal-ish.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's plenty of anecdotes. It's a lot of anecdotes. Yeah, a lot of good sources too. Like people who play online a lot that recognize maybe something's different. Because like when it gets worse each time, it's like what is explaining what? Why just give me some stability, just some every now and then.
Yeah, it's like it is increasingly more clear that that's not the thing that the patch was addressing. Let's put it that way. Which, by the way, and I share this every time that the netcode debate comes up. And this isn't in the notes, but Sajam made he streams and then someone cut a video which is like a highlight reel of him talking about specifically fighting games should have good netcode, among other things, which is why it's sparked debate like today and yesterday.
Yeah, I like that video. I enjoyed watching that.
Yeah, I'm in like full agreement that if you put out a fighting game in the year of our Lord 2019 and you don't have those things, those like a key like good like things that have been done before in the past by games with much smaller budgets, then what are you doing? You're a clown. You're a clown of a fighting game. But I don't know. Here we are.
It's an interesting like topic all around. Yeah. I don't know if you want to go into it because definitely something that takes preparation.
We can if you've got some like off the cuff opinions, like capital O opinions on that.
Not really, man. I just okay. Kind of thinking out loud. It's one of the things I just listen to and I accept it. And I'm like, I think he's right. How would I challenge that? Like, I can't really play devil's advocate. The question that comes to
go ahead.
The question that comes to mind for me is how is that really the extent where it's our fault for accepting the games as they are and not demanding more for them or more from them, and I totally think is underrated. Is we just accept the games as they are, we complain about them, but we still buy them when they're not different. Right. That's like, but at the other end of it, the people who are making the game, how responsible are they for those changes, and do they really care about what their audience thinks? Like, is it? Are you just kind of throwing your emotions to the void if you complain about something on Twitter? Is it really effective? You know, how do you convince them to make it better? Because maybe they're not convinced that it's wrong, that something's wrong. You know?
Yeah. Oh no, that's actually a discussion that I had with a Capcom employee, tangentially at Evo, where it was like talking about tutorials specifically, and I've actually heard this response before, but the way that Capcom designers think about fighting games is that they kind of want there to be open-ended tutorialization to their games to let people discover things on their own. Which, like, in some degrees, I get that. Like, I'm the guy who would appreciate that the most, right? Because I can. This is an area that needs somebody to help people out, help people understand like why things go into another thing. Like why do you have combos in the first place? Right. But to have there's like nothing there. You know, There's really nothing there. Or what is there? It happens to be like counterproductive to someone's learning. Like why do all the training tutorial combos start with a jump and attack? What does that teach a player, really? Yeah, that's. How do you teach people to teach themselves in a tutorial that they're willing to pay attention to? I think that's the... Right, yeah. It becomes exceedingly more difficult because there are players who are like, you know what, I'm going to sit down and learn this shit. But then there's other players who are just like, yeah, I'll button through all the text and then just do what it's telling me to do when the game part comes up. Like, yeah, there's plenty of things to think about there. Because then, in a sense, like, is it okay to take advantage of that player who is not interested in playing the game competitively, but they want to play like through the story mode and like, hey, you have all this casual content for them, you know, that's really good. But I just don't know if the aim is to convert that casual player into a competitive player if they're not even willing to do that. Yeah, you know? Like you can't. Like that's such a hard turn. And like, by the way, and I know I've said this on the show before, but if you happen to be a player who just plays fighting games to enjoy them and like not competitively, that is a completely 100% valid way to play a fighting game. Like you're good. Like, oh yeah, I wish there was more. I wish there was plenty of people like that. Oh yeah, that's the other part of it. Let's put it this way. I wish the games were built around somewhat catering to those players' needs, so that maybe they'd like put a lot more money into the system, because the people who are competitive at the game don't put fucking any money into the system, like at all, or they try not to.
Yeah, I'm a pretty good example of that myself, because I don't buy costumes.
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
like. I mean, I contribute in a different way. But,
Right.
Look, man, I'm a streamer. I don't make any money. I got
No,
the aesthetics aren't for me.
You're not making the big Twitch money, not yet. Maybe Mixer money though.
I don't know about that either.
No, I don't think anybody knows about that. However, I will say that I don't think there's a lot of fighting game presence on Mixer, but I just think that it's hard to break into new streaming territories with a genre of game that doesn't even necessarily get a lot of viewership on Twitch to begin with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was about to say there's not a lot of fighting game viewership on Twitch either.
Yeah,
I mean, it's there, but it's not. It ain't Fortnite. It ain't Dota. It ain't GTA RP. And it's harder, I think, with fighting games to. They're really difficult to stream because they're difficult to appreciate, and it's hard to talk while you're playing it. You can't always look away from the screen. Like, there's a skill to it. I've gotten a little bit better at it myself, but there's just some, like, I can't always look at the chat. I have to like pretend sometimes, like I just pick and choose a few things.
Oh yeah, like, and that's as someone who has done that before. It's like you can either fully focus on a match, if you specifically with Street Fighter 5 too, if you're trying to be like entertaining, like and you don't, if you're trying to be entertaining in Street Fighter 5 and you are playing against an opponent who is actually testing you, that shit's fucking hard. If you're playing against someone who you've like figured out and you're good, like, you can kind of goof and have fun with it. But if you're like sweating it out, good luck.
Nah, that's why I just kind of, as far as Street Fighter 5, I just think of it as, in streaming terms. It's a circus. It's a circus. I'm the ringmaster, and I'm gonna try to show off all these cool things. But it's a circus. It's not a serious tournament setting.
Right.
I try to emphasize learning and figuring out stuff and creating those fun moments. But it's at the end of the day, it's not a serious competition. Money's on the line, anything like that.
Right.
It's more about bringing people together.
That's something that I appreciate about your streams and the way that you kind of guide your community, is that you do come at it from a teaching angle, which is actually something that, kind of going back to tutorialization in fighting games, something I know that I know I've said this before, but it would be very interesting to see a fighting game take the chance of having a mode in the game that was like, you can elect yourself to be a fighting game Sherpa almost, or like a dojo master. Like, what if the dojo master could like give lessons, and they were incentivized to give lessons to newer players, to like teach them how to play, with like communication in game of player to player, like talking to, because that's how people learn fighting games. You learn it from another person. You don't learn it in a vacuum. But
yeah, I do like that idea. I don't know how they would implement it.
There's a lot of ways where that would be like completely broken and not good, and people would be taken advantage of. And
there's definitely a severe lack of communication in a lot of fighting games. When I was playing Mortal Kombat. I was playing in the Mortal Kombat E-League tournament with my partner Rewind. I got invited at the last minute. Anyways, I was playing Unruly from I believe he's in California.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was playing him, I heard a voice, and I panicked. Because I was like, I know they're restreaming my stream, so I'm like, who's talking to me? And then I looked at the Discord. I'm like, so nobody's in my room. Who's talking to me? And then Mortal Kombat, you can talk to your opponents like during the match. And it was Unruly. He was just talking to me, and like the whole time I'm like panicked for like a full minute, a full 60 seconds. Like I just couldn't figure it out. And the chat was like, "Hey, stupid! They play Mortal Kombat. People can talk to you." I was like, "Oh, okay. Check out this wave dash with Shao Kahn."
You're like, "Oh shit, another human? Oh fuck."
Yeah, but you don't have that in Street Fighter 5, and for maybe good reason. I'm sure there's a reason. It's intentional why they don't let you communicate. But at the same time, like with PC, you can't really message people on PS4. You can do it, but there's a fear of allowing people to get to know each other in fighting games, and it's not an unfair. If it is it's not an unfair assessment,
right?
But it also takes away the potential of building. I hesitate to say a relationship with more people, to build community like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, what's the point of a dojo if you can't talk to nobody?
Yeah, I agree with that. Which is why when I tell people to try and improve and try to get sets in, it's specifically against someone that you can talk to, because playing, if you're a new player and you're trying to learn a fighting game, going into ranked and losing consistently without having someone there being well, you should have done this, or here's something you could have done, is almost counterproductive. It just makes you feel bad. There's no unless you know how to learn already, it gets really complicated. But
yeah, it's interesting because if I'm on that other side of it, I could be like, "Why don't you just use Discord?" If I'm making the game, why don't you just go tune into AutoMattock stream? He helps people out all the time. But it's the convenience. How do you initiate somebody who has no idea of where to start or where to go? They just bought the game and they're like, sure, I'll play online, and they get crushed, and they have no sense of direction. They have no plates that points them in a place to go.
Right. But because there are still players like that there are players who bought the game this week. I promise you that, because I see them on our Street Fighter and they ask the question, why do I keep losing? And the answer is well, and then you just dump the resources on them and you go, here you go, motherfucker, welcome. And God, this is a lot of shit I don't know. And I don't know if those people stick around, but I know that those players exist. And
bro, I typed how to get better at Street into Google, and it auto-corrected how to get better at Fortnite, how to get better at chess, Apex Legends. No, Street is the word I put. Street Fighter.
Street Apex. Let me tell you how to get better at Street Fortnite. We ain't playing no esports Fortnite out here. We're playing esports in the streets.
I got bypassed by an algorithm.
That's how it is in the street. Let me teach you how to play in the streets. On your phone, probably, because that's where you can play Fortnite. On the streets.
This video.
But anyway, so you've got growth on your channel. You've got lessons up. You've got all that shit, all that good stuff. You've seen some steady growth throughout, and some steady popularity. In fact, so much so that you were voted into the Street Fighter League recently.
Yeah, to my surprise, I just thought I'd give it a shot and see what happens and practice marketing and. I was never good at projects. I always wait till the last minute. When I was, in school. But I was like, let me just see if I can do this, and we'll see where it goes. I'll put my best foot forward. And I was like, okay, I'm first place.
Yeah, huge response. A resounding yes from the community.
All right, I'm still in the top 4. All right, we got an hour left. Okay, now we don't have an hour left, and I'm in.
Oh boy, because I know that I probably can't ask this question, but the thing closing an hour early. Before we even get into that, what I will say, one of the most wholesome things that I saw from you in that time was that. Yeah,
wholesome
from you.
Esports?
Oh yeah, no, this was a wholesome gaming moment. When you were like, there were people who were like, I like AutoMattock, but I'm not even going to vote for him because he's a shoe-in, and and how that was like, oh dang, you made it.
Yeah. They were so confident. There's people that are subscribed to my channel too. They're like, nah, he'll be all right. He don't need my help. I'm gonna vote for somebody else that's the underdog. I'm gonna vote for somebody else that he needs the support from me. I'm like, well, all right then. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah,
that means a lot.
Thanks, I guess. They had so much confidence in you, they don't even need to vote for you. You're good. But now, so.
But yeah, that was definitely a sign to me that I'm not the underdog. I expected to just see how this goes, and I'm all of a sudden not the underdog. It was weird to me.
Which is interesting because you're a player who doesn't necessarily travel to events, but you are very visible within the community. I think you do a lot of good work. We've already talked about that with your stream and your YouTube channel. But that counts for something. It's not all about tournament results, you know. It's about but also,
and it's not only that, it's the history of all the things I've done before Street Fighter. If you notice, like, people who got voted in, they weren't only Street Fighter players. They've done other things in Street Fighter. They got that word clout. They know people. They've been around for a while.
Well, so it's fun because I'm stumbling over myself because I don't know if I want to make a joke right now or a segue. Mm-hmm. It's like,
oh no,
have you ever been in that situation? I'm holding I'm in front of two buttons of the segue button is right here and the joke button is right here, but there's no joke segue button. I cannot combine the two.
No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Oh, fuck. All right, so...
Stun bar is high. If you do an uppercut, you're getting crush counted.
Yeah, but if I try and
do a Jarvis combo,
if they throw me, then it's hardly any scaling into the combo, so of course I'm going to try and tech. What are you talking about?
Backdash at least, man. You can spare a jab reset.
That's actually true. Hey, fam, by the way, folks, if you are worried about being thrown, consider backdashing instead of teching the throw.
Or delay backdash, block, and then backdash.
There's actually tech that you can do to delay a backdash. The only thing that it won't keep you safe from is lows, but there are actually not a whole lot of meaty lows in this game. Street Fighter V specifically. Anyway, that's not a segue. That's just me.
That's a parry.
Yeah, that's a digression. That's a digression before we hit maybe what we want to talk about, or maybe I want to touch upon just for a moment, because the roster for Street Fighter League has been announced. There was oh boy, it's a mess. So the first.
You say George a mess, man. I was in it. I don't even know.
Let's talk about the first mess just a moment, just to get I know I've talked about it on the show before, but just to cover it, some coverage on some history on this. So they ran the voting, but voting closed an hour early, and very close to that number 4 position was Emezi and Arturo in that order.
Yes,
Emezi, who's known for being the kind of like a shit heel on Twitter. The classic SF5 stand to a fault, let's say, and then Arturo.
Well. I actually met him as in the Street Fighter Cross Tekken days, both online and in person. He's cool. I don't have any problems with him. He's alright.
Sure, okay. That's so. This is an aside about Emezi, where it's like not a lot of the time, but some of the time, I'm like, your argument is valid, but the way that you are saying it, and this being the hill that you choose to die on, is man, your efforts are better spent elsewhere, my guy.
Sometimes it reminds me of when you have a friend that you're gonna defend him, even though he has defendable qualities, but he's your friend, so you have to stand up for him, right? That's what it might have a little bit to do with that.
Yeah, maybe.
And sometimes people just don't want to be wrong or show any sign of compromise,
Sure. He is.
I don't know why I'm being that friend for Emezi right now.
Yeah, sorry to talk you into that corner.
I did it to myself.
He is reliable. I'll say that much. However,
he's fine.
He was in the number 5 position. Art was in the number 6. There was an hour left to go. Both of them have large communities that they can draw off. I actually think that Emezi has a larger community to draw off of, because he's got this... Something that people might not know about him is that he has this YouTube channel with over 1 million followers.
1.3 million.
Think about that for a second. 1.3 million is kind of a fucking lot of people. And whether or not they give a fuck about fighting games, I don't think he cares, and I don't think they cared if he was going to get their votes, right?
But that could bring a lot of people to watch Street Fighter League. That's something I think people overlook too much. Despite, say what you want, fair or unfair or whatever. It could bring a lot of new people to watch Street Fighter and maybe even bring in new players, maybe. Or we just need people to watch. We just need bodies, man. We need eyes and bodies and fingers. We need more of it, man.
We need eyes on content. And if it's like a casual fan who's not used to the content, I'm fine with that, honestly. That's just, gotta make those numbers bigger, dog. But anyway, voting closes an hour early. But then in addition to that, Guilty was outed in the community as a... what's the word I'm looking for? Someone who does something a lot of times over time. A serial harasser, let's say. A lot of people spoke out, and then she was like open about what had happened, and then I don't know what happened first, whether she dropped out of or was asked to leave. I don't know the details on that one. Not gonna presume. Anyway, she drops out. So, surprise, 4th place opens up again. Who gets the seat? But
yeah, what do? You got to make a call. You got to make a tough call. I mean, I guess the right call on paper is to put the 5th place, like whoever's next in line, right?
That's the on paper call one might make.
Yep.
But also, you have to consider
I don't want to do it, man. I don't want to say it.
Hey, listen, I know. But anyway, Arturo got into SF.
Shots, anti-air. I just like this is neutral, man. For this, don't put me out there, man.
You're just out there trying to play honest characters. And here I am trying to drag you through the muck and make you play some bullshit. Guess what?
It's not like... I know it's not like that.
I know.
Well, if you place yourself in their position, and you have to make a call between somebody who is... man, I'm not saying this from my perspective. I find his YouTube channel to be creative. It's a lot of hard work what he does, but it's... Oh, man.
It is... So, I'll say
it's in the same realm
it is,
of
I'll say
sexuality.
I'll say
it has that kind of vibe to it.
It is
Despite,
what it is. It's like obtuse TNA. It also puts Street Fighter characters in that same kind of position, let's say. Which, if you are working at Capcom, maybe you look at that sideways and don't see that as a. But also,
yeah, but that's not even to be on the other side of it. That's not their business.
It's not. Yeah,
because they're not going to promote
totally
that
not
on the show.
On paper,
but
it's
he's
not
associated. That'll be a large reason why he gets there, because he has a massive following.
Who knows
I don't
what it was, but also
to disparage anybody. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to like understand. And I mean, I was there, so I can tell you honestly, I don't have any inside info. I just speculate my own.
Right, because they're not going to be like, hey, man. Imagine that
if
reality.
I also had to get
where all you guys show up. Imagine that reality where all you guys show up and they're like, by the way, we didn't include a Mezzi for this X, and Y, X, Y, and Z reason. Just to you, who's like, why are you fucking telling me this now? Like that's not.
Yeah, we gonna play some games or what?
Yeah, that's not how things are.
All right, let's play.
That would be absurd. However, what I will say, Art is in. Mezzi
That's a good choice.
Is out.
He's not the perfect choice, but he's a good choice.
I will also say from reports is that no one... The thing that gets me, and I don't know if you know this, because this was just something that I learned like a couple hours ago, is that Mezzi was never even contacted for this as well.
Yep, that's not right.
It's just a little bit of a stir in the pot. However, all of that considered, all of that into consideration, it is what it is now, and it's in the tank. We got it. We got the film. We have what we have. Street Fighter League Season 2 is happening. It is happening.
Yeah. Why are you're like, we gotta move on, fellas. Ladies and gentlemen, it's over. What's done is done.
What was done is done. And here's the other thing, is that none of the players in Street Fighter League had fuck all to do with any of the decisions what might make you think negatively about it.
Yeah. And it may have nothing to do with anything besides Art is a better player. Honestly, that could be that's it. That could be it.
Who can say?
Don't
Ban
quote
Dawson.
me.
Character ban on Dawson. Make Art.
I'm just speculating.
Useless. I can't. You can't answer this question, but I can't imagine anyone is banning Dawson. Or maybe they are banning Dawson.
Depends on the team.
Depends on the team he's on.
You know the team comps.
It does depend on the team. However, folks, let's get into, like, if you could just speak generally about the experience. Because I know I've talked to people who have been on Street Fighter League in the past on this show, and their takeaway is mostly that it was just like it's just a lot of Street Fighter all at once, kind of like good camaraderie times. What was your like general take on it as a competitor?
Overall, there's a few cons, but a lot of pros.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended. It was really good environment, good training environment. It was really fun. The stress levels matched the excitement. So almost all the time I felt neutral, but I was like boiling inside, because I wanted to. I don't want to talk too much about the overall feeling that I had, because you'll still just see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I think they did
no spoilers.
I think this season was better than season 1 easily. A lot of episodes we came out were like, that was the best episode, and then the next episode, that was the best episode, and then the next one, I wait until they see this. It was, oh man, it was gonna be there's a lot to look forward to seeing.
That's enticing. Some rising action. I'm okay with that.
Nah, man, there's like so many good moments. It's so
That's
good.
The thing. Yeah,
we had a good
looking
cast, man.
to
We
it.
had a good production crew. It was super sick.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to kind of want to give it like a shout out to Carolyn for how she's been running the
You have
Capcom
no idea.
Fighters Twitter
You
account.
actually have no idea
How
how much of a national treasure
Oh my
that
goodness.
lady is.
I say this constantly, is that I thoroughly, like, I have remorse, I have regret, I carry so much of a burden having never asked her to be on the show before she was an official Capcom employee, to where it became impossible for her to be on this show. So much regret, because she's a treasure. She's a treasure. There's only one Carolyn, and
No, she's like
got away.
She's fighting. She's fighting for us, man. I'm telling you.
That's for fucking real. But I'm sure she has like highlights all picked out that she knows what she's gonna do. Looking forward to it. 'Cause it's like it highlights all the players, the communities, what they come from. There were like interviews during all this time that cover all the players and all that good stuff. There's good work. There are good works around the Street Fighter League, regardless of your opinion on it, listener. Love it or hate it. If you hate the character bans, well, guess what? Is what it is. The players don't decide on that. But here's
y'all gonna love it. Y'all gonna love this season, man. I'm telling you, it's just good stuff.
It's good television.
I can't tell you, but I'm telling you, it's good.
Physically, how you feeling? That's a lot of Street Fighter.
Huh? Yeah. I played a lot, man. I got sick of it. That's why I haven't been I've been back for like 3 days. I haven't touched Street Fighter at all, man. And then I saw Smug streaming. I saw Tommy Two Step streaming. I was like, man, I guess I gotta start streaming again. So maybe tonight, if not tomorrow for sure, I'll be back on it.
Just ask
how the
fuck
fuck
you
playing
doing
WoW
it?
Classic, man. I've been unloading,
Yeah.
just dumping.
It's a lot all at once, real quick. But all right, is there anything else maybe that you would want to share about your experience before we kind of move on from the Street Fighter League, of things that you can share? Because did they make you sign let me ask you this. Did they make you sign an NDA? Is there like
course.
Okay, all right. I'm just wondering.
No, I didn't sign the.
All right.
Yeah,
Because
what do you think?
I don't know how sloppy shit can be. I don't know, but at least
Just say
we got
lawyer
some-
whenever you ask.
fuck Christ.
Lawyer.
All right. But anything else that you want to share, positive or negative, that you think you're okay to share?
Nothing directly comes to mind except to be appreciative of the people around you. Whoever's I'm the culprit, of just like being on the internet all the time and behind the camera, But whenever I see people in person and I know what they're connected to, I make sure to really acknowledge if they're working hard. There's a real human experience to this thing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what is that? Oh man, I got one of those iPhone X Max free giveaways. They got a new hack where they go into your Google Calendar. Anyways,
Excuse?
yeah, man, it's the second time it happened. I got an iPhone X Max free giveaway. It's all, they put it on your Google Calendar, and then the link goes there instead of like your email and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's like some
yeah, high tech,
some like cloak and dagger fucking shit. That they're
Bro.
in your they're in.
Nah, man. Ever since like I'm eligible for an upgrade for my phone. Ever since then, it doesn't want to like look at me. It doesn't want to rotate anymore. Everything is all stuck.
Nah, planned obsolescence, man. They thought that they'd make us old hats obsolete by making these new games appeal to new players, but guess what, motherfuckers? We're still here playing the new game. You got to get past us first, which I don't think I got it. Yeah, which, by the way, shouts to Bonchan for winning Evo.
Where are we? Oh, by the way, yeah, just all I wanted to say was just appreciate everybody for really on a personal level.
Right.
I'll take the time to say thank you. Your hard work is noticed, and even if there's somebody that outranks you,
Yeah, man.
because you don't know what they're going through in their personal life. You don't know if they had an experience just recently, but they're still doing their job, putting out fires, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, like
you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So it's good to just respect people on a surface level.
that's entirely true, because I think about so many people who are like important cogs in the wheel of the street, not even just like the fighting game community at large. So many people who it's actually not their job to be doing any of this stuff. This is just a side thing that they do in addition to how they actually make money, who are actually dealing with real life shit that is not good, and yet they still show up to fill their role within the community. And it's a lot of the time thankless, and a lot of the time there's people who do not understand the context of where these people are coming from. But to all of those people, huge thank you. And for anyone out there who's on the grind, it is appreciated. But anyway, moving on though, because there's some Street Fighter stuff that has happened that we haven't even necessarily even talked about on the show yet. But I figure that you AutoMattock, the street fighting man, know a thing or two. I think that I'm gonna give you credit for this one, because I think that you're out there doing the research. You're out there in the lab. Okay. You tend to take to new characters very quickly and understand why and how they're good or their failings. Mm-hmm. First blush of this set of three new characters. How you feeling? Where are we at?
At this point, doing it so many times, it's all the same. Like I don't really have a new experience with new characters that much anymore. If I'm being 100%, there's like very rarely something like a new idea like out of nowhere, and I have to think differently. It's the same formula all the time. So a lot of the characters, they're not like exciting to me because they feel like there's nothing particularly new about them. Like the same qualities. I don't know, man. That makes me think about Street Fighter V. It's not really that open ended, but it's not really supposed to be.
No.
So like Lucia, for example, she's going to be strong because she has a 3-frame and invincible reversal. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have good health. She got good mix-ups. She can do big damage. Her corner carry is okay. But I mean, maybe you can tell from the tone of my voice, like this is nothing really new. Like, there's a lot of characters who have that. Mm-hmm. Poison, she has a 3-frame, no invincible reversal. Her throw combined with the I don't know the move name, but it can be +2. The whip, the EX. That can be sort of like a throw rope. I think if you don't get up, then she spends the meter or something like that. So I mean that seems like it's a good like method of continuous Oki. A lot of standing resets with that character. Her zoning doesn't seem too bad either.
No. I've seen Mono PR do really well in our online tournaments with his poison. Like it can be bet for Shoto specifically. That she does very well.
Yeah, I think she's okay. She's gonna get mauled because she has no invincible reversal, so nobody's gonna care if she's gonna hit buttons. Like someone like Idom is gonna know when to hit buttons. Like they're gonna bait a throw, so I'm gonna hit a button here, and then you can make a play happen, kinda. But I don't really find that method of defense too exciting, which is why like a lot of these characters don't really do it because it's never gonna change. Like the way you get off the ground, the options that you have, the limited options that you have, it's never gonna change. It's just every character is going to have to fall in line to that mold.
Right. No, you're not wrong.
And Honda suffers. Honda suffers because he doesn't have a lot of options either. He has more than poison. He's got a throw and vol, butt slam. EX butt slam is throw and vol, and then you got armor on frame 3 with EX sumo headbutt.
Yeah.
But that sucks. It's not comparable to like an uppercut.
Yeah.
And even uppercut. It's not that good because you get the crush counter. It's still risk involved. You gotta forcibly guess. So with Honda, if you get knocked down, you have to make a hard read. It's not just something that answers a lot of things. You either got to know the data of when they have a window that you can use an armor move on frame 3, or you got to guess that they're gonna do a throw and then use the butt slam, or you just get oppressed. You got to block, which isn't always favorable. Yeah. And he does not have a 3 frame, so. His 4 frame is the next thing that's the fastest, and they don't have a lot of range, and they don't convert into a lot. You don't get EX hands off of stand light kick or crouch light kick. His 4 frames. You could do like crouch light kick, crouch jab, EX hands, but that might not be in range for the knockdown. So he's gonna suffer on wake up is what I'm trying to get at.
No, you're right.
His zoning is all right. I don't know how much you really want me to go into like my impressions of these characters. No. The zoning is okay. Forward heavy kick has a lot of range, but it's not good on block. Headbutt is a good anti-air. She's got some jump back normals you can use as anti-air. Butt slam preemptively can be okay. I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like it's anything particularly new and exciting. It is fun to like kind of start over with the new characters and then figure out what to do to get up to be optimal with them. But it always feels like I'm just taking the same path over and over again with a lot of new characters.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Like you saying that there has really been nothing new really sat with me specifically when you go through a character and you're like, I bet I could do a frame trap of a light into a medium into like another medium into a special cancel.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or I know that I could probably, like, the pathway of combo options is even, like, really straightforward to the point where there's not a lot of play there. And defensively, you know what you're looking for, like you said. Or you look at back dashes, forward dashes, walk speed, comeback factor on a V trigger, and all of that kind of fits and makes sense. And I'm pretty much in full agreement with you here that even with these new characters, there's not necessarily any new mechanics that have come out in their play that's like, oh, this could be surprising. It's more. I
think overall that's to be expected. That's just how it's gonna be.
The last time that happened was Manat.
Yeah. And also, I think Zeku is really cool. He's still really cool. G, very cool, awesome character. I think Ed was a fun attempt to have an interesting character.
Ed and Falk, I think, were interesting attempts at new characters for what it is, for what it's worth. But yeah, you can.
There's I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer.
No,
I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer about it.
It's not really even that much of a downer because these characters, I think, it makes them viable in the game, right? Like we've seen some really good poison played during our weeklies. I know that there's good like strong Lucias out there because at first, like, as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, she's strong. Like, how can she not be? Like, clearly she's strong. And then
she's the kind of character that can get overrated very easily, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
better that than the other way around.
That's true. The only thing I think that might hold her back is just her buttons in the neutral. The utility there seems. I waffle on that. We'll see where she. It's one of those things where I just have to see more of her play to see where she really fits into the roster. But again, like you say, Honda, I think makes sense. Like defensively, he's going to suffer. Offensively, I think he has some interesting things. Maybe he wants to spend meter. Personally, I like his car cancel off the overhead. That's just 'cause I like Kara canceling things, but
I do like that he's difficult to play. I think it's not easy to execute and optimize that character. So that's a fun challenge, even though the pathway is kind of the same to like achieve the hit. The execution part is kind of hard to do it, which is probably going to be a barrier for people that want to just, pick up the game and they got Honda. I used to play that character, and then I'm like, oh man, once you like try to break into high level, there's some things you got to do. Like
Fair
medium
enough.
punch into Kara, the target combo into light hands is a frame trap, and it'll help you get into like V trigger 2, so you can grab them, or even V trigger 1, so you get a good knockdown.
Right.
So if you can't do medium Kara overhead, look the stomp, and then cancel it into light hands, it's not easy. I made the YouTube video on how to do it. If you don't have any direction on how to do that, then you're gonna do something like medium punch and then maybe target combo, which is all right, but you're not gonna get the 100 hand slaps, because that's going to punish like backdash, jump away, frame trap, and you need to be able to connect those things. Otherwise, they just backdash all day.
right. Yeah, no, and that'll keep you safe from all the options. So, no, you're right. You're right. That
You
does
gotta
make Honda. That I think makes Honda a little interesting.
Yeah, more than the other characters for me. Although Poison is becoming more interesting to me.
I've seen some really hot poison shit. That's the thing, though, is that I've seen bullshit from all these characters where I'm like, that's fun.
Yeah, it's like it's the same bullshit.
Yeah,
Plus
maybe.
two,
Same
grab.
bullshit,
Plus
different
3,
character.
okay,
Yeah.
what's the math? Okay, there's a command grab. Put that there. Okay, how do I stop
Yep.
them from jumping? All right, we're done.
Yep.
We're done here.
Accurate.
That's how I make them guess. Okay, I did
Accurate.
it.
Yeah, no, like Mono, even like I saw him today being like, oh yeah, once you have V trigger 2, you just kind of like, if you whiff the throw and they jump back, you can buffer the heavy whip and then catch them out of the air, and it's very easy to do. It's like, yeah, of course you guys do this shit, like clearly. Anyway.
Yep, and I hope I don't sound too jaded. Maybe I'm a little bit jaded about
No,
it. 'Cause
it's
if it's somebody who's never done it before, it's awesome. Like, man, you're learning a new skill, you put it all together, it's tight.
No. I don't think what you're saying is jaded, because I just think it comes from experience. Because like that's how someone who has experience would look at a new character. And as soon as it's one of those things where as soon as you see it and you get your hands on it, you get a little bit, you get to play with them. You go, yeah, I get this. Like it makes sense. It makes sense. But anyway, all right. So characters are all right. I think they fit into Street Fighter V. Again, not gonna like do a where do they fit in the
Tier list.
Hey, what's your tier list? Han's top tier, right? Poison's top tier. Lucia's she's the top 5 in the game, right?
Are they viable? Are they remotely viable?
I don't know. Like, are they? Here's the answer to that question: is if they're tournament viable. Is your character Ryu?
It's a serious question.
Is your character Zangief? If the answer is no to both of those questions, then guess what? Your character's tournament viable. Don't worry about it. You're fine.
Nah, man. If it ain't Akuma, Karen, Ibuki, Rashid, Birdie.
Well, how about this?
I guess
I think that's a good transition into what we're going to go to a guest question. So this question was sent in by Overhaul. It proposes a situation. Yeah, I'm going to paint you like a word picture here. This is a whole new reality I'm painting for you.
Oh, yeah.
So you wake up tomorrow and notice that there's been an update to Street Fighter V that has removed the V system entirely, including crush counters. Who is now top tier?
It's the same, man. It's nothing different.
Here's the thing. It's the same. The top five don't change. Top 5 don't change.
Because here's the thing. Top 5 do not need their V trigger. They are enhanced by their V trigger.
The
characters that need matchups, that need to win their matchup via their V trigger, they're going to be even worse. Mm-hmm. But some of them are not bad, but when they need their V trigger, that's why they're not top tier.
Right.
Top tier characters don't need it. Regine, he don't need it. It just makes them ridiculous. Karen, she don't need it. Man, the only character player is just like, the V reversal's good enough. This gives me plus frames when I dash. Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. Akuma, man, he gets really good. he has like a V trigger, like he needs it, but he doesn't, and it's still stupid good.
Yeah, and then think about all the characters that he's facing off against that don't have access to V reversal. Like,
yeah,
or Rashid against characters that don't have a V reversal. Oof, not great.
I would like to think that Sagat would be better. He would be way better off, but I don't think he'd be like top tier.
You'd think that, but then you think about all the ways that other characters get in on Sagat, and the risk that you run for eating a jump in, for throwing a bad fireball. Not great.
Yeah, but that's always there, and I think Sagat would be better without the V mechanics. I think he would be better.
I think
because there's been so many times where when they do get V trigger, that's when I lose with Sagat. So if that wasn't a factor, then I'll be winning a lot of matches because I'm not even getting my V trigger at that point. I might get like one V reversal's worth if I'm really winning it like that.
And then
so
at that point they're starting to roll on you, and it becomes a bad situation.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's especially happens with Akuma and I think Urien as well.
Yeah,
I'll win the neutral, and then their V bar will enhance the match. So whereas maybe it's kind of even, the matchup is kind of even outside of the V trigger, but once they activate it, now it's like, oh shoot, now the matchup started. As the Sagat player, I'm like, okay, now we're getting started.
Right. Or
and that's those characters can compete outside of it.
Yeah,
like they're still fine.
I think about like Zangief, where it's like he gets V trigger 1, and that changes a lot of matchups for him. Or like when Minot pops her V trigger, right? She becomes an entirely different character. The way that she can be threatening is way different from how she is when she doesn't have V trigger. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you here. This was my gut reaction to it, is that I feel like the mid tier changes a little bit, but the top tier stays top tier.
Like, they would probably be closer to the top tier, but I don't think they're going anywhere.
And there are some characters who are mid tier that drop down even more so, or characters who don't have like a very interesting V trigger go anywhere, like Vega. Vega stays Vega. Vega's not going anywhere.
I don't know, man. His V trigger sucks. He's Vega by himself anyway. So if you take his V triggers are kind of whack. I mean, they have like situational where they look great, but man, it's such a sad thing to see a Vega throw a rose and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do any damage, or it like doesn't hit a projectile. It's like, compare that to Rashid. Compare that to Karen when she activates hers.
Yeah, just the utility of those V triggers are ridiculous compared to how ridiculous those characters already are in the neutral. It could be bad, but okay. Yeah. PS addition to this question: do you view stun as a comeback mechanic?
Oh yeah, for sure. Have you seen Javits? Have you seen Idom powered by Javits? It's another enhancement factor. Go ahead. If there was no stun bar, then you wouldn't have to worry about like grab into stun or the big unmitigated, like you can't stop all that damage that's about to happen. And that's what is a part of that comeback situation with it's a combination. Excuse me, it's a combination of V trigger. You have a do it anyway move that's going to lead to a situation where it doesn't matter how good your reactions are. It doesn't matter how much experience you've had. Doesn't matter your credit score, your job resume. You're gonna get hit by it just like anybody else. Like you can probably assess risk reward a little bit better.
Credit score.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's just you do a move, you activate, and then if that hits, you got like 2 more choices, and then you get stunned. Like maybe 2 more choices after that initial hit. And that's why that stun is going to add on to the damage from the comeback factor. So it's a combination of V trigger and the stun bar.
Yeah, it becomes like a snowball effect at that point. I don't think it outright means that that's what it is, but it definitely adds to it. It makes it. It adds to the pressure.
It can be what prevents a comeback. It can be that too.
Yeah.
It can be the difference between closing out a round like Akuma one of his weaknesses, but you don't really see it that much, is you can kill him before he activates his V trigger, because you stun him before he has access to it, and then he dies. Or you get him into range where critical art's going to kill him, and then he doesn't even get to activate it because he dies.
Right.
If you go into critical art,
you gotta finish your meal if available. All right. Okay. I think I've kept you quite long enough, so I want to thank you for your time, for being on the show and offering your joyous look at the world of fighting games.
Yeah.
You say as you sigh, like a sigh of grief of where you are, of just the tiredness after having like a straight week of Street Fighter. Okay.
Still trying to figure things out, man. I'm thinking about buying a house next month, and I'm thinking about like maybe I should stream Mortal Kombat.
buying a house is the fucking worst, man. Let me tell you.
Really?
Oh man,
I've only rented so far.
I like owning a house. Buying a house was terrible. It was the worst experience of my life. Like, I'm being hyperbolic. Of course, there have been worse things from like getting to become the owner of property, but like it was a bad situation. It was unpleasant the entire way through. Where it's something where it's like, I'm buying the thing that I'll potentially die in. Like, I could die. I could be buying my coffin right now, and this is a bad experience. Fuck that. I don't know about that one. But again, I digress. One thing I do want to talk about right before like we go into outros is that Celtic Throat. I just want to briefly throw this out because I feel like this has like concluded. There was a wrap on this. Is that Zowie pulled out of Celtic Throwdown kind of last minute. They were like, sorry, we got no monitors for you, good luck, which is like this big tournament, right? Celtic Throwdown, big tournament. There were a lot of people coming, and now Celtic Throwdown was like, what are we going to do without any monitors? And then I saw Asus was like, hey, what's up? What up, fam? We got you. So hopefully that situation is fully resolved and they've got everything figured out. But shout outs to Asus, and they're stepping up for the FGC in that particular situation this weekend. So thumbs up to you. That's a good look. Before we go though, AutoMattock, again, it has been a pleasure. Thank you very much. But tell people where they can find you and the good stuff that you have going on the internet.
Man, I wish I had something funny lined up. Like, you can find me at your local arcade, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. Can I just promo something else?
Do you want to promo a Pizza Hut that you like?
Pizza Hut?
I don't know.
Pizza Hut's all right.
There's
two local arcades that I'd like to shout out. Is that cool?
Sure. Fuck, go right ahead. This is your time.
I'm in North Carolina, right? I'm not in, North Carolina. We have an arcade known as Stop Button in Hope Mills, North Carolina, right outside of Fayetteville. They got a bar. They got a casual area. They got like sort of a BYOC where we do the tournaments. And they got all kinds of arcade machines. In the center, they got all the fighting games from the old school era that you can think of. And they're well kept. The owners are very handy. They're veterans. The drinks are cheap. It's like $10 to get in or something like that. It changes depending on the day, but everything is on free to play. They got Third Strike, CVS 2, Marvel 2. They got Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, whatever you can think, Soul Calibur 2, all those. They got everything, man.
Name
there's a lot of people
What's
there.
The name?
Stop_button. Stop Button.
All right.
All right, and then we got Greensboro, North Carolina, Lost Ark Video Games. They host Third Strike every Thursday, and they have it's like a legacy tournament, they call it, on Saturday. I believe this Saturday they have a legacy tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, they have head-to-head candy caps for Third Strike. It's legit like a Japanese arcade.
Oh, sick. Yeah, that's
right next
awesome.
to the college, UNCG. It's on that road. It shares the road with the college. It's really sick. Lost Ark Video Games. Arcade. It's really good.
Awesome. Before we go, though, before I close out, you said something there that I just want to I'm going to go on a brief aside before we leave. What's your gut reaction to something like Bud Light sponsoring a fighting game tournament that is 21 plus to enter?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Do it. I don't care. What's the problem?
Let them live their best life. Yeah, no, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, fuck it. Like, whatever you want to do, we'll take your money.
Yeah. Literally hold my beer. What is the? I mean, I'm being like, unthoughtful here, but what is the problem with that?
The only thing that I think is worth thinking about is that the games themselves rated T for teen. So if you're it's addressed to kids and people who are 13 plus. But then the additional bar. The thing that gets me is that they specifically cannot enter to compete if they are not 21. To which I think about all the I know young kids who are exceptionally talented. And Big Bird turned 21 this year, and he got second at Evo. Earlier he would not have been able to compete in a Bud Light tournament because he's not 21.
Yeah, but it's beer.
It's gonna be I know, I get it. It's gonna be its own thing. It's fucking it's fine. I get
it. I mean, I know we want everybody to play. It sounds jarring to not include somebody when we already have problems just getting people to show up. Yeah. But whatever, man. The more the merrier. I don't think it's taking away more than it's adding.
The only thing I would take umbrage is that if you show up to the event that is sponsored by Bud Light and the Bud Light still costs $9, fuck out of here, my guy.
Let me get one of those Bud Light fridges. You know how they have the Red Bull fridge? Let me get one of those.
Well, not me personally. I'm not an AB InBev drinker. However, I'm not gonna yuck someone's yum if that's your go-to. If you want to crack a Bud Lime and enjoy the summertime, fucking go ahead.
Hey man, I don't care, man. I'm trying to get sponsored by 40 ounce Miller High Life or Mad Dog. I don't care. Let me get some
Mad Dog
Cobra.
Some King Cobra. Hell yeah. Give me some Laser. Fuck yeah. Boy. I'll get sponsored Laser? By that dirty 40 money. That 40 money? Hell yeah. That's always 40. That's always the thing where I know whenever my wife goes out of town, which is actually coming up recently or soon, is that I know whenever I've lost my humanity, whenever I've ordered a pizza and I am drinking a 40, it's because that doesn't happen unless she leaves the house, and it's let me just soak in my degeneracy, and here I am.
Yep.
By
I'll
myself.
Become one with the couch.
Effectively.
I've become one with my esports rocking chair.
My glider, please. I'm an old man. Anyway, all right, that's a show though. Beer is fine. Beer sponsorships, whatever. But it is what it is, and it's totally separate. It's totally doing its own thing. It's not like they don't own a fucking stadium. Who gives a shit?
Are the players getting paid? Their prize pool?
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Well, all right. I'm AutoMattock. I hope y'all learned something. Thanks for having me, Joe. I appreciate you.
All right. Now, it has been a pleasure. Again, I am Joe Monday. You can find me at Super Joe Monday or at RedditSF on Twitter.com, or hop on to our Street Fighter to see what's been going on. I'll see anything if you post it because we moderate there. There's a whole lot of good stuff going on our Street Fighter, so go check it out. But that's the show, folks. Thank you again for joining us every Thursday for another edition of RSF Radio. But until next week, take care, folks. Peace.
Peace.